Alright, so this is a video walkthrough for the solar system prototype. Now, this is going to be quite a short one because, honestly, this prototype isn't really that complicated. It was more of a demonstration of mechanics and how the solar system in Delta V would work, rather than being a specifically complicated prototype. It's literally just a couple of lines of code. So what I'll do is I'll go through that first, and then I'll kind of walk you through how it might work in the game, which is basically what this is demonstrating, and then also what also came of this prototype as a result of making it. So yeah, we'll go through the code really quickly. As I say, it's literally just a couple of lines. Basically, this script is attached to every single body here, so the planets and the moons. And all it does is you've got a public game object here called sun, or even though it's called the sun, it sometimes represents the planets because the moons rotate around the planets and the planets rotate around the sun. Okay, so you've got a public game object here, which is the one that whatever the script is attached to rotates around. And then you've got a float for orbit speed, which is basically how fast it rotates around it. And then right here you've got a transform.rotate around, which is the command that basically makes the planets spin round. Can't remember which way they go, that way I think. They rotate around the sun.transform.position, basically whatever you put in the place of this game object, which I'll show you in a second. It transforms around this new vector 3, which is a -1 on the z-axis. So it spins that way, basically. Times the orbit speed, which is whatever you set the float to, times time.delta time, which means it'll just do it in real time. And that's literally it. That's the code. As I said, it's not a particularly complicated prototype. And then what that basically means, actually, let's not hit play yet. Let's use an example. So if we go to the gas giant here, we've attached the scripts and dragged the sun game object into there. So the gas giant 1, so this one, rotates around the sun, like so. Then we set the orbit speed to 5, so it rotates at 5 orbit speed. And then if we take one of the moons of the gas giant, you may notice actually that that's a different script. There are 3 scripts here. They're all exactly the same lines of code. I tried to kind of organize it a bit more by attaching, by making different scripts for each game object, but I didn't need to. As you can see, it's literally just the same line of code. So, yeah. But yeah, so as you can see, the moon here, instead of having the sun, it's the gas giant attached to it, so it rotates around that. And the orbit speed is slightly faster, it's 6. Each planetary body, if you will, has a different orbit speed, so that they don't just look a bit weird. You know, they don't look all kind of samey as they rotate around, so you can actually see them rotating faster and slower. Like that moon rotates faster than that one, so that'll actually go past it in a minute. Now that there is what I was going to talk about. So that is the rogue planet, and if you don't know what that is, you can look into the design document on the blog. But we had this idea for the rogue planet as a part of a narrative event in Delta V, and so we built this prototype just to see how the solar system would go, and because we knew the rogue planet was going to have a rogue orbital path, hence its name, we added in, it's basically like a much bigger circle. That's just why it goes off the screen and then comes back in again. But if you look here, and this was completely accidental, we obviously programmed in this massive orbit system, but this bit here, what this rogue planet does in this prototype, we didn't plan at all. As you can see, it comes down and literally skims that planet, like literally taps it. And we didn't code that in. Well, we did code it in, but we didn't plan for that at all. And seeing that in the prototype is actually what then served as inspiration for the Rogue Planet event in the game. Because prior to this, we knew there was going to be a rogue planet, it was going to have a wacky orbit, but originally it was just going to be something you'd have to try and get to with difficulty. Whereas now, after this prototype was made, we had the idea to have it come in whilst the player is on a specific planet, this one, the rogue planet will come in and it will zoom right past, which is something you can see visually actually if you watch the trailer that we made for the game. There's also on the blog. But yeah, so that idea came right from this prototype. There's a little fun fact for you. But yeah, so it's a pretty simple prototype. All it is really is just a demonstration of how the solar system, that the environment in which the game is set, could work in a game-based environment. So you've literally just got a basic rotate around, and obviously you've got the asteroids here, and it's just to show that it can be done. It's a demonstration of mechanics, if you will, and it's a good one because it works. But yeah, pretty short video walkthrough, but that's the gist of it. So thanks for watching, I guess.